All right, this is UChicago. I said UChicago didn't have encampment, but today we do. And we have many people here participating, observing, people on call, and also some police officers nearby. And we have today a participant. So can you introduce a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Yousef. I'm a senior here at UChicago, and I'm one of the organizers that set up the encampment.
Yeah, so can you tell us a little bit about the demand you have for this encampment?
That's a huge question. So I think why we're seeing like mass student encampments, and especially why we're hosting one, is for our university to divest. So UChicago has active investments in weapon manufacturing companies like General Dynamics, who manufacture the physical weapons that are being deployed and used in Israel that are killing Palestinians actively. So it's absolutely insane that here at this university that our tuition dollars can go directly to an apartheid state that is killing my family back home.
So I heard that in Colombia they have disclose and then divest and then repair statement. So do you really know what's happening with the money or endowment going to the company?
Well, that's part of it. Yeah, that's part of it. So disclosing is part of figuring out. So we can know. So disclosing is one, so that the university is transparent. So we already know some of their investments by like public domains, but we don't know all of them. So why we want them to disclose first, even before divesting, is so that we actually know the extent to where like their investments are going, because we already know like it's billions of dollars just from public domain. So imagine what like actually where their money is going if they were public about it. And then of course the divestment is that divestment process, and then the repair is. So now you're not investing that money in Israel. What are you going to do with that money? You need to repair some of the communities that, one, you're breaking just by being in the location that you are, but also the communities you've continued to break on the way of trying to get this divestment. Like there's not a lot of student support anymore for the university after what they did to us back fall by arresting 26 students. Yeah, it's still you can tell it's still like people are unsettled by it.
So how hopeful are you about the organization? There are a lot of talk about why, Occupy Wall Street is not that effective because it's horizontal. It doesn't have a structure. And we see that a lot of unstructured movement would have the power vacuum that would be filled by the outsider who may hurt some Jewish students, and then it become a news on Fox News, trying to demonize students' movement as, leftist extremist. So what do you think about the organization stuff, and what is your goal going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Alan, I'm so hopeful. In this generation. I mean, like, we have so many more Jewish students that are physically in the encampment that are supportive of this.
Yeah, I just saw
then Jewish students are actually like against this. So it's so insane that like the amount of people we've been able to mobilize. Like, I've never seen anything like most of the time when we do actions, we're the ones that are kind of asking for community support. So if you do like a sit-in at Wall Street or even the Columbia one, like oftentimes when they were doing sit-ins or actions, like they were asking people to come, asking people to support. This is one of the first events we've ever done where it's been the community that's like it heavily anticipated this event and have heavily like influenced the reason why we even chose to do it. Like the community wanted this, and I think that there's something so powerful in kind of organized, unorganized actions, and they really can. Like, I've never been this hopeful that like we're on the right side of history and we can get something done.
Yeah, tell me something about your interaction with some Jewish students nearby. So, what kind of dynamic is going on with you guys? I heard some of them are kind of worried. And there are lots of survey on campus that more than 56% of Jewish students feel that they are physically threatened, and 52% of people having, Palestinian background fear the same would happen to them.
That's a really good point. Honestly, the people on the other side, I'm considering more so Zionists, because I have so many Jewish friends that are pro-Palestine in here. So there are actually a lot of Jewish students that have been the ones kind of facing the other Jewish students. So they've taken it sort of in their own responsibility to not put like their Palestinian brothers and sisters on the line, and they just have a conversation between Jewish student that's pro-Palestinian and a Zionist, and they've kind of been diffusing those. But again, it's been the same sort of, what I've noticed is from the fall, it's been the same sort of very vocal kind of agitators that have come to every action and they keep doing this. Whereas on the other side, with all the actions we do, I see new faces every time. Like, I see new faces of people organizing, new faces of people camping, new faces of people speaking on the mic. Like, we've never run out of new or interested people to talk about Palestine, whereas I feel like the people who have been vocal on their side have just been the same people. Like, they've just been the same people who aren't willing to listen to the Jewish members on our side that are supportive of what we're doing, and kind of understand where we're coming from so that we can understand where they're coming from. So it's been like kind of give and pull a little bit. But
let's talk about the fear. I guess a lot of people wear masks. I don't know whether they fear the police would arrest them or something like that, but there is an element of civil disobedience and the possibility of getting arrested. And this tradition goes back from Henry David Thoreau to Hannah Arendt,
100%.
and there is an idea of creative tension made by students to dramatize the events. But there is a possibility that in today's digital media society, things can be demonized pretty easily, and you can be taken out of context. So how do you handle this fear, and how are you going to confront the possible arrest?
That's an amazing question. I was already arrested by the university. I was arrested in the fall during the sit-in. So it's like, but there still is the fear. There's kind of a fear with everyone about what they'll do to us. However, there's never been an unwavering response to that fear that I've noticed. Like, everyone is not scared about where their stance is. They're just scared about what the other people on the other side sort of will do to them. So we have no fear that we're on the wrong side of history. In fact, you could tell with the numbers that we kind of know that we are on the right side because of all the different types of people that this is bringing together. And so I don't think there's any fear with our stands, but of course there's people have been monitoring their fears. I mean, we were masked to protect each other so no one gets sick, but people have been monitoring their fears and making sure that if people don't feel comfortable facing police or press, that we have people to do that so that we can be in control of keeping each other safe.
So this year is very special because the Democrat National Convention is going to be held in Chicago, and there are lots of comparisons to 1968 when Richard Daley, the Iron Man, used police force to, not simply scare students, but also, exert this brutalizing power against students. Some of the old men who are alive, who were participants, had very good, oral history about that. So I wonder, this is the end of the semester, this is the end of the quarter, and there is a long summer in between before we get to that point, National Convention. So what would be the best strategy to dramatize this grievance and also sense of injustice felt by students leading up to the National Convention?
Oh my God, that is such a well-formed question. I haven't been asked something so influential yet, but we have never seen kind of the students' response to what's happening. We've seen mass student protests be shut down and professors and students be arrested and abused. We've seen all of that, but we've never seen sort of the student response to that, which is we won't let this, for the first time, we will never, we won't let this stop us. This isn't the encampment at CUNY in New York, it's physically would not be shut down because there were just so many people, or they wouldn't let people get into their circles during prayer. So I think the best strategy is we really need to act on that. We need to bring as many students together, especially in the Chicagoland area, to mobilize the day that's coming.
That's gonna be.
And it's gonna be
hard to imagine.
It's gonna be very interesting. But I think for the first time, you can't ignore the student's voice. Being a student doesn't mean that you're inferior, or being a student doesn't mean that you lack sort of the knowledge to talk about in a credible basis the things that we're talking about.
I have a final question. It's about your view on the difference between Trump and Biden. We know that Trump is actually a good brother of Netanyahu, and he proved that. And his son was actually a liaison between the Saudi government and the Israeli government. And I guess the mainstream viewpoint is that it's better to choose Biden over Trump. But since student protests would dramatize, the failure of current administration, and Biden's going to be very embarrassed about this whole thing. And if there are violence leading up to the convention, this is going to hurt Biden tremendously, and probably elect Trump, which is actually gaining a lot of,
Absolutely.
support.
That's such a good question. No, like this has been so defying in Biden's presidency. Like this will never not be attached to his name. But I do charge both of them with genocide. Both of them are genocide supporters. Both of them will continue their investments in Israel and in the genocide of Palestinians. So I think of them both like they're both sort of the devil you know and the devil you don't. Like they're kind of the two lesser, like which one's the lesser of both evils, but I still, I don't have support for either of them personally. I'm not talking about within our coalition, but it would be embarrassing for a president. It would be the first time in U.S. history where a president is reelected after losing re-election, and a president that was impeached twice that wins re-election. It would be insane, and I do think that it's definitely possible considering the way Biden's handled this. So it'll be historic in U.S. history.
I think that kind of fear from Biden would already create this creative tension.
Yeah. Oh,
and
it's there.
The fear of Biden would probably.
Yeah. Oh, Alan, it's definitely there. 100%. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. So hopefully, you guys have a very fruitful encampment and all these protests. And
I appreciate
this is very eye-opening to many people who have no experience or participation in such
and
events.
I hope that this is what it is. I hope people can sort of understand where we're coming from, and they understand sort of the Palestinian plight.
I guess the Chinese audience in my Bilibili would have better view about your efforts and the dynamics that's going on. It's not the single story. And I would try to, interview as many people as possible. And
I love that.
Your point is really, really important. And you're a student organizer. That's fantastic.
Alan, I really appreciate this. These are some of the best questions I've gotten in interviews. These are very detailed and important.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Of course, Alan, you're the best.